Blackford with 2 minutes. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I associate myself with the remarks both of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Labour Party of the murder of Joe Cox 4 years ago, a day I guess none of us rightly will ever forget. And can I thank the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Labour Party for the comments of my colleague for East Dunbartonshire. I know she's very grateful of all the support that's been shown towards her. Mr. Speaker, prior to the Prime Minister coming to the House today, the contents of his statement were shrouded in secrecy. We now know why. Unfortunately, it is now crystal clear what is happening. The Prime Minister and this UK government are using the cover of a terrible pandemic to rip apart the UK's structures for international development and humanitarian aid. At a time when we should be standing with the world's poorest, acting as a beacon of hope, the Prime Minister is playing politics. Let me be clear. The government are blatantly using challenging domestic circumstances as an excuse to wind down essential aid for the world's poorest. This is shameful and is not in our name, Mr. Speaker. We are talking about people burdened with suffering every single day, and on top of that, they too are dealing with this terrible pandemic. If these are the values of global Britain, then they do not represent the values of the vast majority of people in Scotland, and we want no part in it. In taking this decision on DFED, this UK government is once again ignoring expert advice. Last December, more than 100 charities specialising in humanitarian relief, girls' education, global health, clean water and sanitation strongly warned against today's announcement. They warned that merging DFED would be, and I quote, turning our backs on the world's poorest people. Only last week, an interim report from the International Development Committee said that this merger would erode accountability and shift funds from poverty reduction. So let's start with the most basic question first. And before I put it, let's not have the usual bluster, Prime Minister, answer the question for once. Can the Prime Minister confirm that he has actually read the interim report by the International Development Committee on this proposed merger? Can he also confirm which aid charities he consulted before making his statement today? Mr. Speaker, DFED employs around 600 people in East Kilbride. Can the Prime Minister guarantee that all these jobs are secure and that they will stay in East Kilbride? And finally, on the 8th of June, my colleague, the member for Dundee West, wrote to the DFED Secretary asking why the department was suspending all DFED projects except for a relative handful of projects that had been identified by the government as a priority. Can the government confirm if all these suspended projects are now being scrapped?
I must respectfully tell the right honourable gentleman that the policies that we are enacting, for which he expresses such horror, the creation of this new Whitehall super department actually reflects what most of the vast majority of the OECD already does. I mean, I think I'm right to say only 1 in 29 OECD countries does anything different from what we're proposing. We are integrating our foreign policy and our massive development threat. We're going to increase it. We're going to make sure that we do even more to tackle poverty and deprivation around the world, tackle the under-education of women and girls around the world, which is an absolute disgrace. But we're going to use this powerful new Whitehall department to do it, to give the UK extra throw weight and megawattage. That's what we need. Because at the moment we're less than the sum of our parts. And I can ask for East Kilbride. I mean, that was the height of absurdity, Mr. Speaker. Here he is. He says he wants to break up the United Kingdom, the right honourable gentleman, and yet he wants us to keep jobs in East Kilbride. I can tell him, of course we're going to keep those jobs in East Kilbride. Of course we're going to support the work of those fantastic people in East Kilbride. He, by his policies, would of course throw that away.
We will make America great again.